Welcome to Animal DNA, our extraordinary expedition through the animal kingdom. We'll explore the unique traits and characteristics of animals of all kinds, how species relate to one another, and ways in which they survive and thrive in their diverse environments around the planet. And so our journey begins. Today, we'll take to the skies and soar with descendants of dinosaurs. We're talking about birds. In this episode, we'll take a closer look at all kinds of fair-feathered creatures. The inseparable lovebirds, symbols of love. The tender crooners, the canaries. The swift hummingbirds that dart from flower to flower. The parakeets, with their intelligence and humor. As well as sparrows, woodpeckers, swallows, larks, nightingales, and cardinals. And we can't forget about birds like seagulls, pelicans, and herons, which are all about that sea life. Lots to do, so let's get started. There are many extraordinary birds, grouped in a variety of different orders. The first order we'll explore is the Passeriformes, which includes half of all bird species in the world, among which are canaries, nightingales, cardinals, larks, goldfinches, and magpies. Birds in the Passeriformes order are referred to as passerines, and they share various general characteristics. They have special intelligence and can use their songs to communicate. They live their lives in trees and create complex nests adapted to their unique habitat. They have had great evolutionary success, which has led them to be the most diversified group of all vertebrates, with more than 5,700 identified species. They have 4 toes, 3 of which are forward and 1 backward. This foot structure, called anisodactyly, helps them cling to tree branches. Passerines are usually small, although there are some larger species, such as the birds of paradise. They can sleep clinging to tree branches due to a tendon that tightens when they perch on them. Most passerines can sing or imitate sounds thanks to a complex system of muscles that controls the syrinx, the bird's vocal organ. Their liver cannot synthesize vitamin C, so they must ingest it daily. Passerine chicks are born blind, featherless, and dependent on their mother. The eggs of these birds are usually colored, except for some species that lay their eggs on the ground, and for that reason, must hide them. So their eggs are camouflaged with darker colors. Although some species lay a single egg, birds of smaller sizes and warmer climates generally lay between 2 and 5 eggs. And those living in the northern hemisphere can lay up to 12 eggs at a time. Their nests are usually in inaccessible and hidden areas, such as trees or cliffs. Building materials are mostly sticks, grasses, mosses, fibers, and mud. Constructions range from simple bowl shapes to elaborate designs requiring skills such as weaving. Up until recently, birds were grouped according to their physical form or structural similarities. The similarities between them are due to how they evolved to their changing habitats. Fossil records and advances in genetics have revealed more clearly the origins of passerines. The first passerines evolved sometime during the Paleogene era within the Gondwana supercontinent, some 55 to 60 million years ago, not long after the reign of the dinosaurs. Because it is such a broad order with such complex details, secondary divisions are often used among researchers. The passerine order, for example, has 3 suborders. Acanthicidae, a very small suborder comprised of tiny birds with thin bills and short round wings. passerine, songbirds that have highly developed vocal organ and surrounding muscles. Passerine, birds whose vocal organ makes them clamor rather than sing. This is a simple organ that makes their singing less elaborate. We'll be right back with more animal DNA. Welcome back to Animal DNA. Let's see if you can answer this trivia question. Which of the following birds is the largest and heaviest of all passerines? A, the lovebird. B, the raven. C, the secretary bird. D, the resplendent quetzal. Chances are you've crossed paths with these guys before. If you answered B, the raven, you got it right. The common raven is the largest and heaviest passerine, measuring between 20 and 31 inches and weighing between 1.3 and 4 pounds. The smallest of the passerines is the short-tailed flycatcher, which measures 2.5 inches and weighs 0.15 ounces on average. The colorful lovebirds are not actually passerines, but a species of parrot native to Africa. Beautiful secretary bird belongs to the Accipitriformes order of the family Sagittariidae, the only one of its family and genus. And the exotic resplendent quetzal is a genus of the birds of the trogon family, or Trogoniformes. It is a sacred species for the ancient Mayan and Aztec civilizations. Let's continue our exploration of the Passeriformes order and get to know some of its specific species. The Atlantic canary is endemic to Madeira Island, Portugal, the Azores, and the Canary Islands. They live in almost any habitat on the islands. With their melodic song, you may be able to guess one of their descendants, one of the most popular pet birds in the world, the canary. These are small birds around 5 inches long, usually yellow and gray, with short bills. Northern cardinals are bright red birds that live in the stretch from North America to South America. Forest and swamps are their main habitats, and they range in length from 8 to 9 inches. Their black plumes and masks around their beaks make them unmistakable. They feed on insects and fruits. Common nightingales have more subdued plumage, which is brownish color with a reddish-brown tail. Though not subdued is their song. As you can guess from their name, the power and constancy of their song is quite unique. Nightingales are migratory birds, breeding in the southern half of Europe, Turkey, and the Caspian Sea. They are insectivorous and supplement their diet with fruits. Bluebirds are members of the family Turdidae, which consists of 3 species of American birds that possess a striking blue color. Their habitat extends from Canada down to Honduras. Great kiskadees are native to tropical America. They're typically between 8 and 10 inches long, with hook-shaped beaks. Their heads are black with 2 white stripes as eyebrows. Their throats are white. Backs and tails are brown, and chests and abdomens are a bright yellow. Bearded reedlings enjoy the temperate climates of Europe and Asia. They inhabit wetlands, breeding in large reed beds next to lakes or marshes. They feed on reed seeds. Their coloring is brown and orange, and they feature a long tail and undulating flight. Now, let's head to the water and examine some of the birds that love to be near the sea. These birds are in the order Pelecaniformes, an order of medium to large aquatic-based birds with worldwide distribution. Species include pelicans, gannets, herons, and ibises. The group was named after the Latin word for pelican, pelicanus. Thus, the title of this order literally means pelican-shaped. Their feet are made up of 4 webbed toes, called interdigital membranes. Most have a bare-skin throat patch, called a gular patch, which they use for catching prey and draining excess water. They have predominantly light plumage, except for brown and Peruvian pelicans. Birds in the Pelecaniformes order primarily feed on fish, squid, and marine species, diving down and catching them at the water's surface. They nest in colonies and are monogamous, mating for life. All species' beaks, sacks, and bare facial skin become brightly colored before the breeding season begins. The 8 existing species have a distribution ranging from the intertropical to the temperate zone. However, they do not live in the interior of South America, polar regions, or the open ocean. As a whole, Pelecaniformes are gregarious birds, traveling in flocks and hunting cooperatively. Sulids, which are comprised of gannets and boobies, are medium to large shorebirds that catch their prey by diving into the water. They typically measure around 2 to 3 feet in length and have a large wingspan of about 4.5 to nearly 6 feet. They have long, narrow, pointed wings and a long diamond-shaped tail with outer feathers that are shorter than the central feathers. Their flight muscles are small. This enables them to dive proficiently for prey. Like all Pelecaniformes, they have sturdy webbed feet with webbing connecting the 4 toes. The beak is usually brightly colored, long, pointed, and with saw-shaped edges. Their plumage may be white, light brown, or grayish with dark wingtips and tail. Herons are tall wading birds. Some species can grow up to nearly 3 feet tall. Their plumage is white, their beaks yellow, and their long legs gray, although the plumage varies according to the season. They feed on fish, crustaceans, and small amphibians, and their habitat is swampy areas or near lakes around the world. These creatures are usually solitary, but it is normal to see them grouped together during the breeding season. They build flat nests in tall trees, where they can lay up to 6 eggs at a time. The Thresciornithidae family includes 36 species of large wading birds, with 2 subfamilies, the ibises and the spoonbills. Members of this family have long, broad wings with 11 primary feathers and 20 secondary feathers. This makes them good flyers, despite their size and weight. It seems that everything about these birds is long bodies and necks, long legs, and long straight bills. They can be found worldwide near any lagoon. We'll be right back with more animal DNA. Welcome back to Animal DNA. Let's see if you can answer this trivia question. Woodpeckers belong in which of the following orders? A. Passeriformes. B. Pelecaniformes. C. Procellariformes. D. None of the above. If you answered D, none of the above, you're right. Woodpeckers belong to the Picaformes order, made up of birds that stand out for their beaks, like toucans. They peck at wood for various reasons: to excavate nests, extract insects or sap, or open holes to store food. Woodpeckers have a special bony and muscular structure called the hyoid apparatus that envelops their skulls and protects their brains from all their jackhammering. Now, let's return to the sea to continue our exploration of seabirds, like gulls and albatrosses. Gulls are large birds with mostly gray, white, or black plumage, often with black markings on their head and wings. They have sturdy, relatively long beaks. Species range in size from the tiny 4-ounce, 11-inch dwarf gull to the 2.5-pound, 30-inch Atlantic gull. These birds are the garbage disposals of the beach. They eat any debris left behind by beachgoers. They are social birds who enjoy being in groups and can generally be found along coasts, lakes, or beaches. They look out for each other when danger is afoot and even give the group a heads up by cawing if there is food in the vicinity. Albatrosses are members of the Diomedidae family. These large seabirds are distributed throughout most of the Antarctic, Pacific, and South Atlantic. The wandering albatross has a wingspan of up to 12 feet from tip to tip. This massive span allows them to fly for several hundred miles without a single flap of their wings. Their wings allow them to merely glide on air currents. There are 22 known albatross species, and each is considered either vulnerable, threatened, near threatened, or endangered by conservationists. Now, let's zip on over to the apodiformes, which includes species of swifts and the speedy hummingbirds. This order of birds is characterized by their small size, short legs, fast flight, penchant for flower nectar, and unique nests, which they build with saliva. Some species' body temperature decreases during the night to save energy. Hummingbirds generally range in size from 4 to 6 inches and weigh under 1/3 of an ounce. They can have either a broad, forked, or rounded tail. Their bills are slender, long, and curved, and they have a long tubular tongue for sucking nectar. They build cup-shaped nests from scraps of twine, branches, and feathers that they mold by tonguing and tamping. Now let's move on to the Coraciformes, an order of colorful, tree-dwelling birds with well-developed beaks. Species include kingfishers, bee-eaters, and caracara birds. They usually have syndactyly, that is, they have 3 forward-pointing toes. They live in pairs and build their nests in caves that they dig with their feet. Tinamous are medium-sized birds that spend a lot of time on the ground, hence their brownish plumage, which helps them blend in with their surroundings. They can only fly short distances as they have tiny wings that do not allow them to maneuver. However, to make up for their lack of flight, they have strong legs for running. Nests are usually made on the ground. The female lays the egg, but the male incubates them. They feed on grains, seeds, insects, and worms. Podicipediformes are medium to large aquatic diving birds like grebes. And although these water-loving birds can fly, they rarely do so. Their nests are almost always floating, and being social, they tend to be found in groups. And with that, our journey has come to an end. See you next time on Animal DNA, where we humans decode all the secrets of our friends in the animal kingdom to learn more about them and a little bit more about ourselves, too.